What's going on YouTube? It's Jason, and in this video I'm going to be discussing how to develop a healthy relationship with food. Now, this is often a misunderstood and abused topic by many people trying to push their own agendas on social media. In this video I'm going to be discussing what a healthy relationship with food looks like in practice and what it is not, so that you can take back control of your fitness journey. So having been obese myself, then developing a healthy relationship, and having worked with many clients, I coined my own definition of what a healthy relationship looks like. I would say a healthy relationship with food is a person that is able to enjoy the foods they love, nutritiously and mindfully, without eliminating any food groups. Of course, this definition excludes intolerances and allergies. So now we've defined what a healthy relationship is, let's go on to what it's not. A healthy relationship does not view food as only being fuel. Now, you go on social media, you see so many people that are quote unquote in shape speaking about how food is fuel, and people just follow along blindly. But if we limit food to being fuel only, people don't learn to actually enjoy food. It would be no different to saying that the reason that we work is just because of money. Now, of course, let's not pretend we all go to work to actually earn a living and pay our bills. But surely that can't be the only thing. People should go to work for other things, hopefully like purpose, job satisfaction, and the colleagues they work with. If you're only going to work for money, you may have bigger problems. So yes, food is a source of fuel, but it's a lot more than that. Another example of an unhealthy relationship is labeling food as good and bad. Now, a lot of us grew up with parents that were well-meaning and taught us good food was home cooked and bad food was treats or food that was processed. But this is the most ridiculous thing. Firstly, food cannot misbehave, it's neither good nor bad. Food is food, we make it work for our bodies. And secondly, it's these good and bad food labels that lead people to feel guilty when they have something quote unquote bad and then go on a binge, and it's a vicious cycle that leads to more weight gain. Now, this isn't to say that there aren't healthy and unhealthy food choices, but when we use the labels good and bad, it kind of distorts things because people then think they're being good when they're overeating home-cooked food. When it comes to fat loss and or muscle building and changing shape, people need to first address the how much, then need to address the what. I often see people that never eat junk food or never eat out, but they're still overweight because they're having second and third helpings of quote-unquote good food. And the third relationship is gluttony/excess food consumption. It's so annoying, this doesn't get called out enough on social media. Lose control, live a little, let your hair down. That's not a healthy relationship either. Go and ask your GP what they think about you shoveling food down and consuming excess calories. This relationship with food is destructive and often gets out of control, and is probably one of the main reasons that we're currently in an obesity crisis. The fourth unhealthy relationship is using food as comfort or a pick-me-up. Oh, it's been a tough week, I could do with a glass of wine. You should enjoy food because you want to enjoy it. You know, if you want to have a glass of wine after work, then have one after work, but it shouldn't be because you've had a tough week and you need a pick-me-up. You should not be leaning on food as a crutch for comfort. That's what your relationships and your hobbies are for. And the final unhealthy relationship is using food as a reward. Now, I hear this all the time. Someone goes to the gym and they say they've earned some ice cream. Now, it goes without saying, there's nothing wrong with ice cream or a glass of wine. But why do you need to earn that ice cream? If you want it, have it. So using food as a reward is an unhealthy relationship. You're not a child, you don't need a pat on the back for going to the dentist. The biggest issue we now face on social media is that most of the people with quote unquote desirable physiques typically have unhealthy relationships with food and or have eating disorders. Yes, I said eating disorders, undiagnosed, but you hear the way they speak about food, their sentiments about bread and alcohol, and you can see that there's something there. As a consequence of these influencers promoting these relationships, and in a bid to combat them, people often deem anything outside labeling food as fuel or labeling food as good and bad as a healthy relationship, and this couldn't be further from the truth. One of the main questions I ask clients to determine whether or not they have a healthy relationship is asking the question, do you control food or does food control you? If it's the latter, this is an unhealthy relationship and you most likely won't be in control of your weight either. Remember, a healthy relationship with food always puts you in the driving seat. So Jason, how do I develop a healthy relationship with food? Number 1, do not eliminate any food groups unless you're allergic or intolerant. A balanced diet, if it's truly balanced, should include everything in. Variety is the spice of life. Don't be boring, don't cut out carbs, don't cut out sweets or chocolate or anything like that. Everything is fine in moderation. Eliminating food groups further promotes diet culture and leads to mental health struggles further down the line. Not to mention constant weight fluctuations when you reintroduce that food group. Number 2, practice mindfulness. We often take self-love to the nth degree when it comes to food. While I don't condone extreme restriction, I'm a firm believer in having self-control. Again, we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just because somebody with an eating disorder has extreme self-discipline, it doesn't mean all self-discipline is bad. And to be honest, on my own fitness journey, having been obese, I really struggled with this principle. I didn't want to be extreme and deprive myself, so I went to the other extreme. But one key principle that changed my life is learning when to say that's enough. I remember I used to love Ben & Jerry's cookie dough. I mean, to be honest, I still do. But every time I'd eat it, I'd have the whole tub, meaning I was having over 1,000 calories every single time. What that meant was, when I wanted to do something about my weight, it became a lot harder to include Ben & Jerry's in, because every time I had it, I couldn't justify 1,000 calories. So I cut it out, lost a load of weight, and eventually I was craving it again. So I realized that if it was going to be part of my life, I had to find a way to incorporate it in moderation. So I went on a journey aiming to only have 2 or 3 scoops. Now for those of you that have tried Ben & Jerry's cookie dough, you can imagine how hard this was. So I'd have dinner and have it as pudding, and I'd try, and of course I failed many times having the whole tub. But eventually I was failing less, having 3/4 of a tub, then half a tub, then eventually 3 scoops. Now this is really important, but when I'd finally mastered how to only have 2 or 3 scoops, it meant that I could have ice cream 2 or 3 times a week without sabotaging my fitness journey or my results. So I had the best of both worlds. Now because of the current belief systems in society, this is not a natural thing. We actually have to train ourselves to do this. Teach yourself to say, I've enjoyed myself, but that's enough. Number 3, eat nutritiously. Now this is often misconstrued as people needing to have chicken and broccoli all the time, or fish and a rice cake. Now I previously thought this too, because that's what diets teach. You need to be in your best behavior. But again, this is a myth that we've been made to believe. You do not need to be 100% perfect to see results. I always promote the 80-20 rule. If 80% of the time you are eating unprocessed whole foods, the 20% shouldn't matter. So don't eliminate pizza or that profiterole, work on your 80%. Number 4, keep a food diary. Now people often understand this as counting calories. While that is a good thing, what I mean by this is writing down what you eat and how you're feeling at the time. Often when people crave, binge or emotional eat, they're unaware of it and unconsciously they start consuming more calories. By keeping a food diary and noting down what you're eating, when and why, you're going to be able to spot patterns, and this can give you a chance to combat emotional eating. And finally, stop using food as a reward. You don't need to earn food. You're not a 5-year-old doing their homework in school. You can have food whenever you want. The key is balance and moderation. If you want to reward yourself, again, leverage your relationships, social activities, hobbies, and things, holidays, experiences, anything but food. Otherwise, you keep doing good things, you consume thousands of extra calories and pile on the pounds. So hopefully you found this video helpful and now have less of a distortion about what a healthy relationship with food looks like. Don't forget to like this video, comment below, let me know a bit more about your journey and your struggles with food. Please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.